Another top story here, and that comes from Harvard. So their endowment fund basically had to write down $1 billion because 6 years ago they made a huge bet in Brazil, a huge land agricultural development. They wanted to make tomatoes, sugar, cocoa, and then Brazil tanked. This is an unbelievable story.
I can tell you right now, this story is going to go bananas, to use a technical term,
on
the Bloomberg today. You got that? That's on purpose. These guys were right there with me. But it's mostly because he's bald, like we're doing this together. But I mean, it's amazing because Harvard has been the endowment that everyone has been watching, but over the past years, not in a good way. I mean, when you look at the idea, MIT, Columbia, Princeton, Yale, and by the way, the average are all beating Harvard at this point. They've obviously done a big overhaul, not just in terms of their personnel, but also in terms of their strategy. And as you mentioned, wrote down $1.1 billion to $2.9 billion is their exposure now. That's bigger than than a lot of endowments out there. It's amazing how off the strategy was here.
But Chris, does this tell something more broadly about why they're reaching this far to try to get yield? I mean, is this a broader phenomenon than just at Harvard?
Well, you have to remember, this is a small allocation, as you said. That's an enormous endowment, and they tend to make very strategic investments. And Brazil, a couple of years ago, was seen as all kinds of opportunity, but then also all kinds of risk. This is part of their natural resources, part of their portfolio, which is going to have volatility. I would tend to be obviously more blended in my exposures. Harvard gets a lot of attention because because Yale's right there, and David Swensen is the rock star. He wrote the book, so Harvard is wanting to compete with them and has struggled with turnover. I think the key is, and not surprising because I've been at CalSTRS 17 years, I think stability of management is huge when it comes to an investment portfolio. Back to Mohamed Al-Arian, to then Jane Medello did a great job, tried really hard. Yeah. But the structure didn't work and the performance wasn't there.
And the story does point out, sorry to interrupt, the story does point out that part of it was the management of the talent. They, you know, the quote that's in the story is about some loose cannon managers. I would imagine there are no loose cannons at CalSTRS.
That's not our goal.